Viralnater presents the real reason Melissa Gilbert ditched Hollywood. Becoming a star in Hollywood is like a dream come true, but it's not always a fairy tale when that happens to a child. Melissa Gilbert is the best person to tell you that becoming famous as a child actor can be both good and bad. Millions of people fell in love with her after playing Laura Engles on Little House on the Prairie. After a rough life in and out of the spotlight, she made the bold choice to leave Hollywood. We're going to learn more about Melissa Gilbert's life and find out what made her fade from view. There is a star. Melissa Ellen Gilbert was born in Los Angeles, California on May 8, 1964. Born to Kathy Wood and David Darlington, she had a unique start in life. They gave her up for adoption when she was only a day old. She wasn't born into a family of artists, but she became a part of the entertainment business when she was adopted by Paul Gilbert, an actor and comic, and Barbara Crane, his wife, who is also an actor and dancer. But no one could have known that she would become famous on her own one day. The early years. Like many people in show business, Melissa Gilbert was working in the business from a very young age. She got her first job in the 1967 movie The Reluctant Astronaut when she was only 3 years old. She's also been in several TV ads, including one for a brand of dog food. But Gilbert got her big break in 1973 for the part of Laura Engles in the American Western history show Little House on the Prairie. She beat out more than 500 other young actors. She had no idea how much the part would change her life. A big break. Paul Gilbert and Barbara Crane split up when Melissa was just 8 years old. Barbara later married an attorney named Harold Abels, and the two had a daughter named Sarah Rebecca Abels, who worked in the business as Sarah Gilbert. But Melissa was the one who first came to the public's attention. Sarah went on to have a great career on her own. Melissa, who played the middle child in the Engles family, was cast as a fresh-faced, buck-toothed 9-year-old. She played Laura, and experienced actor Michael Landon played Laura's father, Charles Engles. Melissa Gilbert was about to go on a crazy ride. A lot of changes. This was her big break, and it happened before she even started middle school. But in addition to the normal ups and downs of being a child star, she had a rough personal life that caused her problems from a very young age. Her foster father killed himself on February 13, 1976, when Little House on the Prairie was at its peak of popularity. Paul Gilbert was her foster father. She was told at the time that he had a stroke. A new father figure. Gilbert became friends with Laura's on-screen parents while she was playing her. When she had a loss in her real life, Michael Landon, who played her father Charles, took over as her real-life dad. During a hard time, she became friends with the whole Landon family and even dated Michael Jr., Michael Landon's son, for a short time. Melissa Gilbert was one of the biggest names on TV by the time she was a teenager, and she was still playing the daughter of a farmer in the 1800s. But there was a different story going on behind those pretty curls and old hats. Childhood love. In the beginning, Gilbert and Michael Jr. were just friends, but when they were teenagers, their friendship turned into love. One of the first guys she's liked was Michael Jr. He was so cute. His hair was blonde and curly, and he had a great sense of humor. When she tried to fall asleep at night, his face would flash before her eyes, she said. "It was the first time I felt butterflies in my stomach when I thought about a boy," she wrote in her autobiography, Prairie Tale. Even though the crush didn't last, the two stayed close friends. Gilbert was just trying her best to be a normal kid underneath it all. The first love. Melissa Gilbert's rough personal life was the center of attention while she played the sweet young Laura on the show. In real life, she was dating in her late teens. A lot of people knew about her first big public relations when she was 17 and was tied to beautiful Tom Cruz. They went out together for a short time when they were both teenagers. "We made out in my mom's living room on a few dates," Gilbert wrote in her autobiography. Cruising with Cruz. "He was sweet, funny, and nice," she went on, "but it wasn't like being hit with an arrow." During this time, Gilbert was already a well-known person, but Cruz wasn't even close to the fame he has now. It's not a big surprise that their teenage fling didn't last long since she didn't care about him back then. The next man she met, though, would change her life for good. Meet by chance. Gilbert and Rob Lowe were both on the beloved 1980s show Battle of the Network Stars in the same episode in 1982. Here, Gilbert met many important people from the 1980s, such as Bruce Boxleitner, who played the lead in How the West Was Won. Gilbert quickly introduced herself because he was older and she had loved his work from afar. She had a crush on him as a teenager. Bruce told me he knew who I was. His son Sam, who was with him at the time and was 2 years old, watched Little House, which he called the Horsey Car Show, Gilbert wrote. That TV show and that first meeting would change her life in so many ways that she had no idea. Rejoicing her success. Gilbert went through 10 years of love, success, and sadness before Boxleitner came back into her life in a big way. She'd pretty much forgotten about her famous crush. Instead, she was having her quick romance with Rob Lowe while she was at the top of her career in the early 1980s. When Gilbert had her biggest wins, like when she got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1985 for her work in television, Lowe was there to celebrate with her. The next big step in their relationship was about to happen. Bringing it down. Lowe asked Gilbert to marry him, and the two young people were very much in love. But everything fell apart when Gilbert told Lowe that she was pregnant with his child that same year. They broke up because he wasn't ready to be a dad. Our relationship ended, she later told Today that it had its time. She went on, "I think we were just too young." Gilbert was still having a hard time after the split, though. Not long after that, she sadly lost the baby. Gilbert was at her lowest point after she lost the baby. Getting back up. She wrote in Prairie Tale, "I had lost my baby and my relationship with Rob, and it hurt like hell." Gilbert promised herself that her troubled personal life would never affect her kind of job, even during this tough time. After Little House on the Prairie ended in 1983, she was in more than 11 other TV movies by the end of that decade. She moved to New York to be the lead in the play Ashana Maidel after her breakup with Lowe. That's where she met the man she would marry. Beginnings and ends. Gilbert met writer Bo Brinkman, who's related to famous stars Randy and Dennis Quaid, after moving to New York. Gilbert and Bo Brinkman got married 7 weeks after she broke up with Rob Lowe. In 1989, they had a son named Dakota Brinkman, and Melissa continued to do well at work, but she had both success and sadness in her life. After not talking to her boss and father figure Michael Landon for a while because of a fight, the Landon family called her to tell her that he had pancreatic cancer. She went to Malibu to see him, but he had already died a week before she got there. Getting going. While Landon was gone, Gilbert's life wasn't exactly going smoothly. In 1992, she and Brinkman filed for divorce, but she was still working on TV shows like Stand By Your Man and With a Vengeance. She had dated bad boys in Hollywood before, like Rob Lowe and Brinkman. She had no idea that the man who was about to come back into her life would have such an effect on her. Going back to her life. When Gilbert got divorced in 1994, she met an actress named Katherine Halcom. This was the start of a very different life. She used to be married to Bruce Boxleitner, who was Gilbert's high school crush. She told Gilbert that she didn't like the woman her ex dated after they broke up, and that she wished he'd date someone like her instead. She went on a date with Boxleitner, which turned into a real relationship. Boxleitner was smarter, more experienced, and had the money to keep up with Gilbert's crazy Hollywood ways. In Prairie Tale, she wrote, "I had finally met my match." There's a problem. Something wasn't right with Gilbert in 2006. She was living the high life in Hollywood with her signature red hair and showing off her new beauty treatments on red carpets. She told Yahoo Life, "It was the red carpet for Season 4 premiere of Nip Tuck, and I was all dolled up. It was the peak of all the fillers and Botox, and my hair was very, very colored. And that threw me for a loop because I was looking at that and thinking, who is that person? That's not me. That's like a shell over what the real me is." Putting it away. With Melissa Gilbert still being a well-known face in Hollywood, the world watched as she and Bruce Boxleitner got a divorce on March 1st, 2011. The breakup gave her a bit of a midlife crisis, and she felt a lot of pressure to keep up appearances. Being a single woman in your 40s in Los Angeles is a whole different league of pressure. and being an actress looking for work as an industry obsessed with youth ratchets this up. Lucky third time. Everything had to fall apart before it could be put back together again. After Gilbert's divorce in 2011, love came knocking on her door again, but this time it was different. Timothy Busfield, who was going through his second divorce at the same time, had met Melissa Gilbert at the 1991 Emmys, but they'd never really gotten to know each other. When they met in 2012, sparks flew, and by April 20th, 2012, they were engaged. The perfect pair. Across the board, we were just equals in everything, Timothy Busfield told people. But Gilbert was drawn to Busfield because he was kind. One of the best things Tim did for me was tell me, if you don't want to, you don't have to. And that's a really big deal for a kid actor because nobody ever told me that, Busfield said. She told people it doesn't matter if you don't want to, you have to. All the way around. Gilbert became famous for playing Laura Engles, her sweetheart, on Little House on the Prairie. But it wasn't until 40 years later that she finally lived out her Little House on the Prairie dream. There were chickens and cows, and I even named my horse Peanuts, she told people about the show. I loved playing Laura because I wanted to be like her. Now she's spending her time away from Hollywood. Going back to her roots. They raise their chickens and grow their food. Their natural way of life still teaches them new things about life. She's gone back to her roots, which is what made her write her second memoir, Back to the Prairie. It talks about her marriage, divorce, and the pandemic, and it explains why Gilbert decided to leave Hollywood for good. The idea was to celebrate this life we've created up in the Catskills, she wrote. Hollywood's old age. Moving away from Hollywood and living a more natural life has helped Gilbert accept her aging without surgery or the social pressures that come with it. She's now free to be herself. I was always trying too hard to fit the mold that someone else wanted. I'm finally happy in my skin. I'm so grateful, relieved, and so much happier, Gilbert told people. Leaving it all behind. Being in the public eye since you were a kid does wear you down, and now that she's in her 50s, Gilbert has completely changed her mind about the glitzy Los Angeles culture that chases youth. Aging is an uphill battle. Everyone loses in the end, Gilbert told Fox News. It doesn't fit with who I am and how my life is now. It's exhausting and not needed. It was important for her to find a place inside herself where she could stop trying to be what other people wanted her to be and just be herself. Getting used to living in the country. Gilbert learned what brings her true happiness by living in the country, which is why she's sharing that happiness through Modern Prairie. The joy that I felt that summer and have felt in summers since doing these projects, just being out and being sticky with sunscreen, bug spray, and dirt under my fingernails, she writes on her website, this makes me happy. I enjoy seeing all the changes that are taking place. It makes me feel better and like I have a right to say what I think. It's more important for me to know what I don't want in life than what I do. Thankful for her past. As she talked about her job and strange life in the spotlight, she said that she was thankful for it all because it led her to a happy and quiet future now that she's out of Hollywood. I believe that being cast on Little House on the Prairie was the bait that opened my eyes to what could be, she told Yahoo. I believe that being cast on Little House was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I had the chance to grow up on a set with a great cast and crew, she told the news organization. Everyone there is like a second family to me. Looking ahead to the future. Melissa Gilbert didn't know how much her life would change when she was cast as Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie when she was only 9 years old. After 3 marriages, children, and many ups and downs, she now knows that she's happiest living naturally and cleaning the chicken coop in the Catskills. We wish Melissa and her husband Timothy a lot of love and happiness in the future, and we hope she keeps using her unique experiences to inspire others. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon